Imagine you just hung up the phone. You just agreed to cover a weekend shift at work. A shift you absolutely did not want to take.
Oh, on a weekend you desperately needed to rest, right?
Exactly. Or, well, picture this. You just walked out of a store holding a shopping bag with an incredibly expensive pair of jeans that you really truly couldn't afford.
But the salesperson somehow made you feel like you'd be missing out on this, once-in-a-lifetime deal.
Right. Or maybe it's even simpler. Maybe you just got dragged into a massive, toxic group chat drama, and you find yourself frantically typing out an apology for a situation you didn't even cause.
Ugh, I have definitely been there. It is the worst.
It really is. And in all of these scenarios, the moment you walk through those glass doors or lock your phone screen, it hits you.
That sinking feeling.
Yeah, you get that sinking, heavy, profoundly uncomfortable feeling right in the pit of your stomach. Your chest tightens. You didn't want to do it. You knew you shouldn't do it.
So why on earth did you?
The uncomfortable truth is that your brain was just hijacked. Welcome to the Missing Lessons, where we explain what school never did.
It really is a visceral, physical feeling, isn't it? It's this immediate wave of regret, completely mixed with this bizarre confusion about how you even arrived at that yes in the first place.
It's so confusing in the moment. And today, our mission in this deep dive is decoding the invisible mechanics of manipulation. Because, well, the reality is, we are currently living in an era of unprecedented, constant hyper-persuasion.
Right, it is everywhere now.
It really is. From high-pressure sales tactics and meticulously engineered social media algorithms to demanding bosses and highly complex personal relationships, there's almost always someone or something trying to steer your choices.
And knowing how to protect your own mind and understanding how to defend your personal agency is quite literally the ultimate superpower in the modern world.
Exactly. It's a survival skill.
If you're enjoying The Missing Lessons, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a rating, and share it with someone who might find it interesting. It helps us create more episodes and reach more curious minds.
So to actually build that mental armor, we first have to understand the mechanics of how this invisible hijack works in our everyday lives.
Where do we even start with that?
Well, people who manipulate others, whether they are clever marketers, demanding managers, or even just passive-aggressive friends, they rely heavily on altering what is known as your frame.
Your frame, like your perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Your frame is essentially your personal scaffolding for reality, is the internal lens through which you judge what is right and wrong, what is reasonable, and what is, totally unacceptable.
So it's basically your baseline reality of any given situation.
Spot on. And a manipulator's very first offensive move is almost always an attempt to warp that baseline reality. Let's look at a subtle, real-world example.
Okay, lay it on me.
Let's say you view yourself as a dedicated employee. You work incredibly hard from 9 to 5, but you also fiercely protect your evenings. That is your frame.
Right, you do great work, and then you go home to live your life. Sounds healthy.
Totally healthy. But then your manager pulls you aside and says, the truly passionate team members here, the ones who truly care about our mission and end up running this place, they always put in extra time on the weekends to get ahead.
Oh, wow. That is incredibly toxic.
Notice what just happened there, though. They didn't directly order you to work the weekend.
Right, they didn't explicitly say you have to come in.
Exactly. Instead, they attacked your frame. They subtly shifted the perspective to make you feel completely inadequate. They're making you question your own identity.
Because if you say no now, you aren't just protecting your time.
Right. In this new warped frame, you are basically admitting you don't care about the team.
They are redefining the entire concept of what a good employee means, but doing it in a way that exclusively benefits their bottom line.
It's brilliant, but it's evil. And this framing tactic is absolutely everywhere, especially in how choices are worded in everyday consumer life.
Like in marketing and stuff.
Oh, completely. Think about walking through the meat aisle at your local grocery store. The lighting is bright, the packaging is pristine.
Okay, I am picturing it.
You have a choice between ground beef that is prominently advertised as being 80% lean or ground beef that is labeled as 20% fat.
I mean, I'm grabbing the 80% lean every single time. It just sounds significantly healthier.
Everyone does. But the physical reality of the product hasn't changed by a single molecule. It's the exact same meat.
That is so true, but my brain instantly hates the 20% fat option.
Right. The framing completely dictates your emotional reaction to it. Which brings us to the core engine that powers all manipulation, emotional hijacking.
Emotional hijacking, that sounds intense.
It is. Manipulators intentionally try to trigger incredibly powerful primal feelings. They want to spark fear, urgency, guilt, or the deep-seated human need for social approval.
So they are trying to short-circuit our logic.
Exactly. The mechanism here is entirely biological. When they trigger a spike of adrenaline or a wave of anxiety, your brain's emotional threat center takes over.
The amygdala, right.
Yeah, and blood flow is literally diverted away from your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical, analytical part of your brain.
Oh, wow. So you are physically unable to think clearly in that moment.
Literally. And to make this hijack successful, the manipulator relies entirely on speed. They need to extract a reaction from you before your slower, logical brain can catch up and analyze the situation critically.
Wait, so they are basically using our own desire to be liked as a weapon against us, but why do we fall for it? It always seems like they catch us when we're at our weakest.
Well, the timing is rarely an accident, and this brings us to why our natural defenses so often collapse, which essentially comes down to cognitive depletion.
Cognitive depletion, like brain drain.
Exactly. Think
Yeah.
about the sheer volume of choices you make on an average Tuesday.
No, it's endless.
Right. You decide when to wake up, what to wear, how to navigate traffic, how to word a delicate email to a coworker, what to eat for lunch.
And that's all before noon.
Yeah. Every single time you make a decision, or every time you force yourself to resist a temptation, your brain is burning through actual metabolic energy.
So by the end of the day, your cognitive battery is practically running on fumes.
Precisely. By the time you get home, you barely have the mental energy to decide what to watch on TV, let alone fight off a high-pressure request from someone.
That makes so much sense. You just surrender because it's easier.
There is a fascinating quirk in human behavior that perfectly illustrates just how dramatic this depletion is.
Oh, I love these kinds of examples. What is it?
Okay, imagine taking a group of people and bringing them into a room that smells overwhelmingly like incredibly rich, freshly baked chocolate chip cookies.
Best smell in the world. I'm in.
You sit them down at a table. Right in front of them is a plate of those warm, gooey cookies. And right next to it is a bowl of bitter, raw radishes.
Okay, that is a bizarre combo.
Now, you tell half the group they're totally free to eat the cookies. But you tell the other half they are only allowed to eat the radishes and they must completely resist the cookies.
Sitting in a room smelling warm chocolate while forcing down a raw radish sounds like a form of psychological torture.
It really does. It requires an immense amount of self-control just to sit there.
I don't know if I could do it.
After a little while, everyone in the room is given a complex geometric puzzle to solve. But there's a massive catch.
Let me guess. The puzzle is rigged.
Yep, the puzzle is geometrically impossible. It cannot be solved at all. The entire point of the scenario is simply to observe how long people will try before they throw their hands up and quit.
Oh, that is sneaky. So what happened?
The people who got to eat the cookies, whose mental energy wasn't strained by resisting temptation, they will sit there trying to figure out this impossible puzzle for an average of 18 minutes.
18 minutes on an impossible puzzle is pretty dedicated.
It is. But the people who had to sit there eating radishes while staring at the chocolate chips, they give up in just 8 minutes.
Wait, really? Less than half the time.
Less than half the time. Simply fighting the urge to eat a cookie completely drained their brain's energy for problem solving.
That is wild.
So, translating this to the real world, a 19-year-old student exhausted after a day of classes, or a worker at the end of a grueling shift, is highly susceptible to a guilt trip from a friend or a high-pressure impulse buy.
Because their mental battery is simply empty.
Exactly. They have no resistance left.
If our willpower is just a battery that runs out, aren't we basically doomed to be manipulated by the end of every day?
That is exactly what most people assume, which is why it's called the willpower trap. But there is a massive twist to how human cognition actually functions.
Oh, thank goodness. What is the twist?
Mindset changes the biological reality.
What do you mean?
If you firmly believe that your willpower is a limited battery that slowly drains away with every choice you make, then your brain will physically respond that way.
So thinking I'm tired makes me tired.
Basically, yeah. But if you adopt a completely different mindset, one that actually happens to be very common in many Eastern philosophical traditions, you view things differently.
Okay, how so?
If you believe that exercising self-control doesn't drain you, but rather energizes and strengthens your resolve, the fatigue doesn't hit you the same way.
Are you serious?
I am. It turns out our capacity for self-control is largely a self-fulfilling prophecy dictated by our own beliefs about energy.
That is actually incredible. So it's not just a hard biological limit like a car running out of gas, it's a belief system.
Exactly.
If you believe that setting a boundary actually reinforces your strength, you generate the energy needed to set the next one.
We are absolutely not helpless in this equation. We can actively build our mental armor on a daily basis.
So we don't have to just cross our fingers and hope we have enough energy when a manipulator corners us.
Nope. You can train your resistance, much like you would train your physical body, using micro workouts that don't require any special equipment or massive life changes.
Micro workouts for the brain. What does that even look like in practice?
Well, it looks like intentionally engaging in small, menial, highly unrewarding tasks.
That sounds very boring.
It is boring, that's the point. Things that require just a tiny bit of forced self-control to complete. A great example is choosing to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand for 2 weeks straight,
Wait, hold on.
or using a simple hand grip exerciser twice a day at exact times.
You're telling me that if I awkwardly brush my teeth with my left hand every morning, I'm somehow going to be better at telling my boss I won't work on a Saturday.
I know, I know.
How does that even connect? That sounds like a massive stretch.
It sounds totally ridiculous until you look at the actual mechanics of how the brain wires itself. Think about it. When you wake up and stumble into the bathroom, your right hand reaches for the toothbrush on pure autopilot.
Yeah, I'm barely awake. It requires zero conscious thought.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you force your left hand to do it, it feels terrible. It's awkward, it's frustrating, and you have to deeply concentrate just to not drop the brush or poke yourself in the eye.
Fair enough. It is super weird to use the wrong hand.
What you are actually doing in that precise moment
Yeah.
is forcing your prefrontal cortex to wake up, step in, and override a deeply ingrained automatic reflex.
Oh, I see. You are consciously taking control.
Yes, you are firing new neural pathways. By doing this every single day, you literally thicken the neurological wiring associated with conscious choice.
So you are training the physical hardware of your brain to hit the brakes on automatic impulsive behaviors.
That's the secret.
Okay, I see the logic now. So it's less about the actual teeth brushing and entirely about the psychological friction of forcing a choice.
Completely.
So it's literally like going to the gym, but for your personal boundaries. You're building these micro muscles of resistance so that when a real manipulator comes along, you can easily carry the weight.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. And creating highly structured personal rituals has a very similar effect.
Personal rituals? Like what?
Think about someone who creates a strict, highly repetitive ritual around how they eat their meals.
Okay.
For instance, always cutting their food into specific uniform sizes, arranging it symmetrically on the plate, and consciously taking 3 deep breaths before they take the first bite.
I mean, that might...
But performing these rigid daily rituals dramatically increases overall self-control.
Just from organizing your food.
Yeah, because the sheer rigidity of the routine sends a powerful psychological signal to your own brain. It tells you, I'm a person who operates on my own terms. I dictate my actions. My environment does not dictate me.
Wow. It creates an unshakable identity of discipline. You're constantly proving to yourself that you are in the driver's seat.
Exactly. But here's the thing, even with all that daily training, you are still going to find yourself in high-pressure situations.
Where someone is actively, aggressively trying to twist your arm in real time, right?
Yeah. Maybe a car salesperson physically won't let you leave the lot without putting down a deposit. Or a friend is laying on a massive guilt trip to get you to cancel your weekend plans for them.
Because when you're in that moment, all the theoretical knowledge in the world just evaporates. You need practical defense. Where do you even start?
You start by noticing the alarm bell. Remember that uncomfortable, twisted, guilty feeling in your stomach we talked about right at the beginning?
The sinking feeling, yeah.
That is not just random social anxiety. That is your vagus nerve acting as an early warning system, screaming that your reality is being worked.
So your body almost always recognizes manipulation before your conscious brain can actually process it.
Almost always. The moment you feel that defensive, guilty shame creeping in, you need to mentally flag it. You have to tell yourself, I am being manipulated right now.
So you have to actually pay attention to the physical sensation in your chest or your stomach rather than just ignoring it and reacting to the person's words.
Yes. Step 1 is pure awareness. Once you acknowledge that feeling, you deploy the single most important defensive move, the time buffer.
The time buffer. I like the sound of that.
As we discussed, manipulation relies heavily on speed and momentum. Think of a manipulative interaction like a judo match.
Okay. Judo.
The manipulator is charging at you with a heavy request and a massive sense of urgency. If you stand completely rigid and try to argue with them, their momentum is going to knock you right over.
Because they want the conflict.
Exactly. But if you step aside by injecting a time buffer, simply saying, let me check my schedule and get back to you, you let all of their aggressive momentum carry them right past you.
Oh, that is so smart. You aren't fighting their energy, you are letting it dissipate in empty space.
Yes, you never, under any circumstances, give an immediate yes to a high-pressure request.
You just let that awkward silence sit there.
Oh,
You don't owe them an immediate answer just because they manufactured an emergency.
Which leads right into the next tactic, emotional reversal.
Emotional reversal, what does that mean?
Well, when someone is pushing you hard, your biological instinct is to push back, to get visibly angry, or to start defensively explaining yourself.
Yeah, you want to justify why you can't do it.
Right, but doing that plays right into their hands because they want you emotional. Instead, step back mentally and become unnervingly calm.
Unnervingly calm. I love that.
It totally neutralizes the manipulator's advantage. Listen to them and then simply paraphrase their point back to them in a flat, calm voice.
Like summarize what they just demanded.
Exactly. Say something like, so what you're saying is that you need someone to cover the shift tonight because the store is understaffed.
Which completely disarms them, doesn't it? Because ultimately, even someone who is being manipulative just wants to feel like they are being heard and understood by the other person.
It drains all the aggressive, anxious energy right out of the room.
Yeah.
But if you realize you aren't fighting them, but you also aren't yielding to them.
Okay, so you've slowed it down, neutralized the emotion, then what?
From there, you maintain frame control. You state your own position clearly and neutrally. You don't blame them. You don't criticize their management skills. You just set a hard boundary.
Just lay it out.
Yeah. You say, I understand we are short-staffed today, but I am not available to work this weekend. You set that boundary firmly before the manufactured guilt can force you into an unwanted compromise.
It's so clean. No excuses, no massive backstory about why you can't work, just the boundary itself.
The moment you start over-explaining, saying something like, I can't work because my mom is visiting from out of town, you hand them a puzzle to solve.
Oh, you give them a loophole.
You give them ammunition. A good manipulator will immediately say, oh, bring your mom to the store. We'd love to meet her. Or just work a half day and see her tonight.
Wow. They will find a way around your excuse every time.
Every single time. And, when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, mastering this kind of frame control is more important for humanity right now than at any point in history.
Really? You think it's that critical?
Absolutely. We are swimming in a digital ecosystem designed to manipulate us. Every app on your phone was built by teams of psychologists analyzing how to hijack your dopamine.
Just to keep you scrolling or keep you buying things you don't need.
Exactly. This constant low-level anxiety about social approval scales up massively. It affects how entire societies vote, how consumer debt skyrockets, and how future generations will navigate boundaries in their personal relationships.
It really does seep into everything.
It does. Cultivating deep self-awareness, knowing exactly what your core values are, so completely that you do not require any external validation from a boss or an algorithm, is how we protect human agency itself.
Have you ever noticed this in your own life? Have you ever felt that exact moment where someone tries to rush you into a decision?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to stop that trap from closing, start incredibly small today. Make a conscious decision this afternoon to use your opposite hand to open doors.
Subtle, weird, but effective trick.
Every single time you reach out with your left hand instead of your right, remind yourself that you are building the neural pathways of your willpower. You are taking conscious control over an automatic habit.
Just building that mental armor.
And the very next time someone puts the pressure on you, whether it's through a demanding text message or face-to-face, deploy the ultimate defensive phrase, let me think about it. Take your time back.
Here's a question for you. What is a specific situation or type of pressure where you find it hardest to resist manipulation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
To bring this all together, manipulation is fundamentally a game of speed, of weaponized emotion, and of framing. Manipulators want to rush you, force you into a state of guilt or fear, and warp your reality so that their request seems like your only logical option.
But your mind is vastly stronger than you think it is.
It is. Your willpower is not a draining battery. It is a muscle that thrives when you adopt the right mindset. By building daily resistance with small, intentional routines, and by creating hard-time buffers in the heat of the moment, you strip the manipulator of all their power.
You take back your agency and stop reacting to everyone else's emergencies.
Exactly. Now, I want to leave you with one final thought. There is a fascinating quirk in human behavior regarding children and delayed gratification.
The marshmallow test.
Yeah, you've likely heard of scenarios where a young child is placed in a room with a single treat. They're told that if they can just sit there and wait 15 minutes without eating it, they will be rewarded with a second treat.
The classic test of resisting temptation.
Right. And for decades, society assumed this was purely a test of raw discipline. The kids who waited simply had better willpower.
But there is more to it than that.
Much more. Deeper observations of this behavior reveal a much more profound truth about human nature. The children who wait aren't just demonstrating raw self-control, they are demonstrating deep trust. Yes. They trust that their environment is stable, and they trust that the adult making the promise will actually deliver that second treat. If a child comes from an unpredictable, chaotic environment where promises are routinely broken, eating the first treat immediately isn't a lack of willpower at all.
Oh, wow. It is a highly logical, intelligent survival adaptation.
Exactly. This applies directly to how we resist manipulation as adults. True resistance, true unshakability in the face of pressure, isn't just about white-knuckling your way through temptation or stubbornly ignoring people.
So the ability to resist isn't just about having strict discipline. It's intrinsically tied to feeling safe.
That's it. It is about knowing yourself, your values, and your environment so deeply and so securely that someone else's manufactured emergency never becomes your panic. When you feel genuinely safe in your own frame, no one can ever rush you out of it.
If you enjoyed this episode of The Missing Lessons, don't forget to follow the podcast, leave a rating, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us continue exploring the topics school never taught us.